Hello, I'm the X-Leaker, and welcome back to the episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the 292nd episode of the Let's Play where I've been playing through the various updates that have come out for Minecraft on the console, building stuff, killing stuff, and of course, destroying stuff. So, destroying stuff is something I actually did before this episode started because I needed a bunch of dirt. If you don't know, I use dirt for so many different builds in this world. Like, you gotta think, there's the sugarcane farm, there's the other farm, and there's just like, for most people, dirt is this worthless block, but for me, it's this kind of valuable thing. So I went and mined myself a bunch of dirt. I destroyed a little bit of the hole near the farms. Ooh, that's going to get dangerous. And I'm now going to use the dirt to do something I've wanted to kind of try for a long time, to achieve a project I've wanted to get done for a long time, because the project I've always wanted to do is to have a mountain which is all hollowed out. And this is something I'm doing all the way on the other side of my world, all the way like near the desert, because again, I figured a mountain that's hollow on the inside would be such a cool thing, but it's such a giant project to just hollow out the mountain like that, so I figured why not kind of do it sneakily the other way and try and like terraform the mountain around the cave. So why not like, have like this giant hole and make a mountain around it? Because, my idea before was to like, oh yeah, make a mountain from scratch, but don't make the inside. But what if we just, like took an existing mountain, we abused a little gap between them, like you might find there's one right here. Because I went and I looked between every single mountain, and this gap right here is just perfect to be turned into like, like a mountain. Because one, I think the mountain would look better if we covered this up. Like honestly, there's this weird hill, and then there's a hill behind it. It's kind of weird. There's this random like bit of like dirt and stuff that's just kind of lying there. It looks like a chili pepper made out of stone and dirt. It's not a very attractive piece of thing. And then there's that over there. It's just not a very good combination of stuff, right? So in today's video, I figured why not try and terraform for the first time, really, in survival, and try and turn this entire thing into like the side of a mountain and make the inside of this a hollow mountain cave. Again, I don't know what to do with the inside of it, but I figured it will look really cool once we're done. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. Hopefully you all do enjoy it. But with that said, let's get straight into it. With I think what's going to be the easiest step, because again, terraforming is so hard, especially when it comes to mountains, because mountains, like, the thing that makes them so special is kind of their inconsistency. But I think the easiest way to start is to cover this little hole in the ceiling up. Or maybe this is the hardest place to start. But either way, we're going to cover this hole in the ceiling up for the most part, besides, like, a single block, just so we can, like, again, say that that's mostly done, and it makes it look more cavey by default, and it's very little effort, so, why not give it a try? So we'll just go a block underneath for this one, and just create a little crater. I don't know if we want a crater, or if that's going to look natural, but I think for now, at least, again, it's going to be a fit. It looks like a creeper's blown this up, honestly. I think I just went through a lot of effort to have, like, a creeper explosion hole, but that's what we've done regardless, so yeah, easy stuff. Now we place a block there, and we've got ourselves the ceiling sorted. Again, that was what I mean by like, oh yeah, that's really easy. If you start with the easiest bit of anything, and then, like you kind of just try and keep going, I feel like that's a really easy way to get anything done, because like, oh, that was so easy. Let's see if we can do the next step. So the next easiest step, well, actually the next easiest step would be over there, but let's move on to the next, like, it's kind of tricky, but it's kind of easy, because it's, basically we have to build a wall, oh yeah, we're going to build a wall and keep the mountains out or whatever, but no, basically we have to build a wall from here up to there, right? That's kind of our next goal. So we have to do that in a really careful way so that it actually reaches, because it's a really weird gap between them, and also so that it looks like a real mountain. Because, again, if you look at the outside of this, it does look like we could turn this into a real mountain thing. So I reckon all we need to do is, again, let's just build up and let's correct later. I think, again, if you try and psych yourself out by trying to do something perfect the first time, you're going to mess up because, you can't do perfection. But what if you try and you don't try perfection? You try not even really that good, and then you kind of work it from there. I think, again, that sounds like terrible advice on the surface, but I think it might not actually be. So, yeah, that's what we'll do right here, which kind of... Again, I want to connect this up to that weird, giant radish thing made out of stone. So I think that's a good place to start, actually. Let's make that be a high point on the wall, and then we'll kind of build down from the high point like that, and then we'll go back a block, and again, this is probably not making too much sense to most of you, but I'm hoping it kind of works regardless. Again, we can look on the outside. The key thing we've got to make sure we avoid is going too robotic. This is something I feel like there's two easy ways you can make a mistake when you're terraforming Minecraft. The first one is to not really understand, like, the terrain you're going for and to go for it entirely wrong. And the second one is to actually, like, to be really robotic in what you do. One thing about Minecraft you'll notice is all the blocks you see everywhere, there's a certain degree of randomness to it. The way they use that, I think it's like Perlin noise or something. But there's a way they make the randomness, and there's a way they make the randomness so effective, but there is a randomness in Minecraft just everywhere. Like, look at those blocks right there. It's like a perfect diagonal spiral, and then it stops, because, again, there's randomness on the cave generation, and that's what makes, again, if you have something that's too perfect, it looks unnatural. Like that over there, if I remove just one or two blocks, that's going to look really, really, really strange. And basically we have to kind of try and work that into our terraforming strategy. Like, let's let's have some random blocks where it just goes up and down, and let's have some, you know, like, let's have a block over there, for instance. Like, yeah, sure, why not? What can that hurt? And I think that's going to be a big part of how we make this look less robotic when we kind of dump it. Because, again, it's got to be super natural when it's done, so we'll make sure it's that. And then also, we'll kind of make the curve cut across here sometimes, just like, yeah, we will go all the way over here. Because, again, that's an entirely fine thing to do here, I think. So, yeah, we're actually roughly on track to reach that thing up there, if we can keep on doing this right. And again, the keeping on doing it right is a tricky thing, because so much of this is just like, let's randomly do it and pray it looks good. But honestly, I think that's what's going to make this kind of build project a lot more fun than other ones, because it's something I have literally no experience in. So, you know, if you're watching this thinking like, Toycat, you are the master of terraforming, it's like, no, I think there is some really useful, you know, tips that, you know, I've picked up just because, like, again, I've seen a lot of bad stuff like this, but I've never, you know, learned how to do it correctly. And honestly, I think that's how I do most things in life. Like, very few things I start and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this amazing thing like this. Instead, it's like, you know what, this is being done terribly right now. I can just do better than that. Like, and I think, honestly, that's a good way to start most things. Like, if you want to start a YouTube channel, I feel like that's probably a good, you know, starting mechanism. If I'm not mistaken, that's how, like, certain, a lot of the big vloggers from, like, you know, 2007 were just like, oh, these guys are literally just talking at a camera. What if we added, not memes, but, like, viral videos? That's the one. Viral videos and memes are basically the same thing, right? Like, oh, yeah, this thing that people share, and then everyone understands collectively. Yeah, basically, that's like a, you know, that's an idea. That's the idea for, like, Ray William Johnson's channel, I think. And it got, like, it was the #1 subscribed channel on YouTube for the longest time. And honestly, actually, you know, let's talk about that, because Let's Play's opportunity not only to talk about terraforming, but also to talk about, you know, things like that. And I feel like the interesting thing about the Ray William Johnson channel is the fact that it is, like, this perfect example of, like, how you can, if you believe that, you know, YouTube is just jumping stone, then your YouTube will eventually die from it. Like, so many people are like that, even though, like, YouTube is this amazing platform, like, to reach people on. People are like, but what if we do it better in TV? And then they realize, oh, I'm not a TV star. Because, again, I feel like YouTube is this, like, brand new media, and I really love it for that, and I don't understand why so many people try to jump to TV from it. So, yeah, let's try and look at this little bit section of mountain we've just done right here. As you can see, it's looking a little rough right now. It doesn't look perfectly mountainy. Some of that's because it's not green. Some of it's because it's, again, it's not robotic-y, but robotic is the word we'll use for it. So, yeah, we'll connect this up. Again, try and get a bit better of a curve going, so we'll kind of work from there. And then just head out, maybe? I guess we need to have some blocks be further back and forwards, so we'll do this, I guess. Geez, this is tricky. So we'll go down from there, like make it go back a block. Yeah, sure, and then we'll... Okay, so we're making good progress here, I think. We're making good progress connecting this stuff to other stuff. Should we have that go like that? Sure, yeah, well, why not? Have these blocks connect up in the same way? Oh, is this all working? It's just about working. It's almost really ugly. I'm saying almost really ugly, as if it's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not quite there. So we'll have that be there, and then that be there. Now there's like a way up the mountain, and we can finish up like this. So yeah, basically I realized also one of the things about like this project is it really is the whole thing of like, you're not, if you know, the mountain isn't going to come to Toycat, then Toycat's going to have to go to the mountain. Except in this case it's like, oh, if the mountain won't create itself for Toycat, Toycat's going to create the mountain around it. So yeah, on the inside, again, it's not meant to look pretty on the inside. We can really work on the inside with a lot of like wiggle room, because again, these blocks aren't necessary. If we really wanted to, like, just to prove a point, if we really wanted to, we could destroy half of these, because, oh, they're not really so important. And, you know, we could make caves and stuff in there. But we're not going to be focusing on that too much today. Instead, you know, the interior is just meant to look like it's, you know, it's meant to look like the inside of a mountain, which it's doing pretty well right now. And the exterior is just meant to look like, oh yeah, there's a mountain here. There was never anything but a mountain. And I think that's being just about achieved. So, yeah, we'll just, very quickly, before anything else, place like a line of blocks from here over to there, and we'll kind of like curve it as we go, I reckon. Yeah, we'll kind of like curve across like that. It's really dangerous trying to get this stuff done, but I think that's about a good curve for the mountain, and that's going to be our curvature that leads up into there that makes this whole thing work. I don't know why this needs to be curved between the two. In fact, no, I'd really like this be curved outwards. That's, okay, you know what? New idea. I'll do that when I get back. But for now, we have to get to sleep because it's dark and spooky, and no one wants all of the mobs to come out and blow you up. You know, no one wants to be blown up in general, right? Like, no one has ever said the phrase, you know, I'd really like if I was blown up right now. That's just not a very common set of thoughts, I don't think. If it is, then I mean, maybe I don't understand people well enough. But I'm pretty sure that's just not a common set of thoughts. So let's make sure we're not on the other side of that, because that's what creepers are. They're terrible. They're not great stuff. So yeah, although actually, you know, I've got a good enough sword, and I probably could fight them off. But at this point, like 80% of why I don't sleep in Minecraft, or why I do sleep in Minecraft, is because honestly, like Minecraft just looks really bad at night. Like, especially when you're recording videos, it's like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing, and it just looks like, you know, all the colors go loose, and you know, there's a part of me that's just like, you know, it would be wonderful if we could just have permanent daytime, you know, only for people, you know, for like videos and stuff, because, again, right now, if you're looking at the colors, everything's just so dull and drab, and hello, okay, we have our first creeper. And we'll just knock them off the mountain. Because I honestly, although I usually like to collect creepers, because, you know, or I like to kill creepers and collect their gunpowder for the, you know, making TNT. I had such an underwhelming experience my last set of TNT. Like, I had like 40 of it, and it made like the tiniest dent. But now I've just realized, you know, is TNT really that important? The same thing happened when I made the video on, you know, like all that TNT versus the glide map, right? Like, it took like maybe 20,000 TNT to do like 5 TNT's worth of damage, or let's exaggerate and say like 50 or something. But like it's this sort of thing where you've got to be really good with TNT to use it, and apparently, as many times as I'll say like, oh yeah, that's how you do it, it doesn't mean I actually can do it myself. You know, something. Do as I say, not as I do, or do as I do, not as I say. No, it's definitely do as I say, not as I do. You know, that's like 2 key phrases today. Like, oh yeah, bring the mountain to Toy Cat, and also you know, the do as I say thing, which is never, it's never been a phrase I'm massively on board with, but you know, I'll take it for now. So yeah, we're actually going to change the entire like course of this mountain, I think. We'll just kind of raise it up from here onwards. And I think we do actually, we do need to keep this like inwards jut, because it has it here, so why not? No, wait, why can't we have the mountain go outwards? Like, it already goes out quite a bit. Oh, I guess that's probably why it makes such good render. But yeah, we're just going to work into this, I reckon. So we'll like kind of just cut off the curve right here before it really goes anywhere. And then, yeah, then we'll build it into this thing. So I think this will go way higher. I think this is arguably a waste. But from here, we'll just start getting like some serious distance on each level we go to. So this will kind of just build all the way up to there. Is that good? That's good to me. Build it into the wall. We probably need to have like some curvature blocks leading into this, because that's a thing. In fact, yeah, I'll cover up most of this mounting stone, and I'll like turn it into just a weird thing. Then next up, we've got to fill in the gaps. Oh, you know, we don't have to fill in gaps yet, because that's not what we do. Then we go up another layer. In fact, we'll go up 2 layers with this one. And again, we want to really just eliminate this whole like individual block thing. So is that a better way to eliminate it? I don't even know at this point. We're just, again, terraforming is one of these things where we just have to kind of guess what's going on. And yeah, while we work on this, because I think there's just going to be a lot of block placements, one thing that I've wanted, because again, let's talk about some stuff. One thing that I've, you know, like, been thinking a lot this week is about, you know, like, people you dislike and the reason you dislike it, right? I feel like most people have a good idea of, like, or at least want to believe they have a good idea of, like, why they don't like certain people. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's how we like come together and then find people we like in our lives. However, I was thinking, because like, you know, maybe the characteristics you like in a person are actually kind of dangerous, because you know there are toxic friends. There's lots of things which are bad in a person, which you are sometimes drawn to. And I've sometimes wondered, like, is that like sometimes, I wonder if the characteristics you like and so on are actually like super negative and you don't know them because it's just easy. Like, what if what you really like is easy friends? Kind of like the same way I was drawn to doing this like first part of the terraforming, because like, oh yeah, it's super easy. What if in that same way, you know, like you're actually drawn to like easy friends that you just get along with because like, it's very little effort. Kind of like how, you know, sometimes people will be like, oh yeah, I'm fine with whatever you want to eat, and then like they're not fine with whatever you want to eat. You know, that's a big girlfriend thing actually. So you know, let's just call that out right there. But no, that's you know how that's a common thing. I feel like that's the same kind of area where it's just like, you know, I am actually kind of picky, but I'm not picky enough to think about it. So instead, I'll just like, you know, I'll just shoot down ideas and wait till one strikes me that way. Like that's what that kind of is, right? And I feel like that is an example of like, oh yeah, that's the easy, you know, that's the easy way out that necessarily isn't too great. And that's kind of how it works with. This is actually, I thought this would be easy, but this is like a surprisingly tricky roof to work on. So I think, yeah, we're just gonna place blocks all the way across here, and then have like a flat roof. That's just what we'll do. There's like a good smart science to it, but we don't need to deal with that right now. But yeah, like I was saying, something about cat. Oh no, basically yeah. I feel like what if the things you like and so on makes that person easy, and like maybe what you really need in your life is tricky friends, because you actually learn a lot from the tricky engagements in your life. Like sometimes they mess you up, and you're like, I don't want to deal with humans ever again. But I feel like you might actually learn a decent amount from like people you hate, and I wouldn't ever replace like all my friends, or even really most of them, or even really more than one of them with like people I didn't like. But I think what would be a really good idea is like 1 week, or like for like an experiment one time, just be like, you know what, every single time I get the big negative red flags about someone, and I know I won't get along with them, what if I just try my hardest? What if I just, you know, I tried to make them my best friend forever, and just, you know, see how that goes. Maybe it goes perfectly. It probably doesn't go perfectly, but you know, maybe it does. And I feel like that would be a really cool experiment. So I'm now gonna like place blocks up. You know, this side doesn't matter. It's fine. The other side kind of matters, and we're gonna have like the framework for this going on, just so we can place blocks around it and on it and stuff. But yeah, basically, I think it'd be a really cool idea, like, as an experiment 1 week. If anyone wants to try this, and let me know. I'd love to know. Or maybe it is, like, real science. But, like, what happens if you only speak to people you don't like? I feel like, again, it's not a good idea, but I feel like you'd probably learn so much from the process. And, again, it's like a big sacrifice you make in the short term to have, like, this long-term perspective gain of, like, oh, yeah, everyone is a human on the... I mean, we all know that's true right now, but, like, it takes a really big experience to like really drive home certain things. And what if one of those things is like, oh yeah, I guess everyone is a human on the inside? I mean, because again, it's one of those things that's like so obvious and we all kind of know. But there are some people in your life right now where you're like, but they're not a human. They're this just weird attention grabbing, you know, something, right? Like insert lots of negative words here. And I think that's kind of like a fascinating thing, because you know, would we discover that, or would we just discover, you know, everyone's messed up on the inside too? This is something my friend Gary does, and he's I make up random names, by the way. Like every now and then, some people think I'm talking about like, oh yeah, this is you're actually talking about like such and such person. Is that Jeff's secret name? It's not. But yeah, or like, are you talking about me? But no, I'm not talking about anyone. But like, what if like you realize like, oh yeah, so everyone in my life sucks now, but they still have some traits of people I like, and now I hate those traits. Again, I'd love to perform the experiment just for that. I think, honestly, I don't actually do it too often, because, again, there's ethics in experiments, but there's a bunch of, like, experiments I'd really love to see performed, and they're, like, I'd love to, you know, perform on myself sometime. But you know, honestly, when it comes to ethical and unethical experiments, there is always a big part of my brain, because if you don't know, there are so many experiments scientists won't perform, can't perform, won't let you perform, and won't acknowledge the results of, I don't believe, because, you know, it's just like so messed up on someone involved. Kind of like if your experiment was like, oh yeah, we're gonna take 100 children and we're just gonna beat them and see what happens. You know, that's not an ethical experiment because you're hurting children. That's just a bold example, but you get the point, right? Like you need to have some level of ethics in experiments, because otherwise, you know, you're just doing bad stuff under the guise of science, or you know, that's the theory anyway. And honestly, it's always like kind of been a little frustrating to me, because I feel like there are so many cool things we could discover. You know, like I feel like the net good would be good humanity if we did like terrible things for experiments. Because if you don't know, there's been a few cases in history like this. I think even the Nazi scientists, like, they did good things. They did bad things. Let me be very, very clear about that. What, you know, YouTubers Nazis is like something you gotta be really careful about, right? But no, Basically, they did lots of awful things, but they did some experiments that like actually increased like the knowledge we have and like is a basis for some science today. And the Japanese did a similar thing, right? And I feel like there's always been a part of me that's like, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this and that? And then obviously you have to be like, but no, it's terrible. You have to be terrible about. And it's one of those like big debates in my head. Like I always end up at the same point of like, well, I mean, we could discover more and help people out. Then it's like, how do we know when it stops helping people out and starts just being messy? And you're like, I guess we don't know, so I guess we won't do it. And again, it's like a internal debate I have myself, and it doesn't really ever go to these, like, I always want to believe that, like, oh yeah, there's some loophole. Like, okay, we'll raise some children in the woods, and then we'll just give them money for it, and that way it's okay. But then it's like, oh yeah, you can't really do that. Because, we still don't really know so much about how, like, the brain develops. Like, we roughly know that, oh yeah, children start talking at this age, and that's because it's probably their, cerebral, I don't know, I'm going to make up like brain words, cerebral cortex, and, it's developing at that age. Wouldn't it be cool if we knew for sure? And that is the problem where you're like, no matter how deep your rabbit hole you get down, you always come to the end conclusion of like, information is more valuable than people. And I think it's cool, honestly, because in most aspects of society, we don't think that way. But when it comes to science, there are like ethics boards, and we think like super, super carefully on the like, we make sure that we do good by the people we're experimenting on. Which is why even like to some extent like, like tests where you're lying to people about what they're taking, it has to, like, even then there's like a bunch of like ethics on how you do it. You can't just like say, oh yeah, we're going to test this thing, and if it doesn't work, you'll die. People have to, like, there's a lot of like really good stuff in ethics that I think, in fact, honestly, ethics is like a whole own study of its own, right? Again, I've never studied it or seen it in a real thing, but I've heard that there are genuine courses in America for like, oh yeah, this is how you study ethics. Because, how humans, us, collectively, a species, we like believe that there's like this very clear set of rules where like, oh yeah, well that's bad and that's good. That makes, this stuff is all evil because we don't like it. And this stuff makes sense, of course. It's really easy. You think about it and you work it out. But if you try to program ethics into any computer, there is, they just have so many issues with it because it doesn't make any sense. Like trying to, like, understand human ethics outside of like the human mind don't make any sense. They're really inconsistent because I think self-driving cars the big example of this. If you ask people like, okay, so your car, if your car is driving down the street. And, it's a self-driving car, so you're not in control. The car has to make decisions for you, right? Just keep that in mind, that's why it's important. And on the left side of the road, there is a motorcyclist with a helmet, and on the right side, there's a motorcyclist without a helmet. Again, this is a very specific situation, but that's the point. And you have to hit one of those two people. Like, you either keep on driving, and you're going to hit the motorcyclist without the helmet, or you can hit the motorcyclist with the helmet, or you can swerve to the right and you can hit the one without it. Or let's say, you're going to hit one or the other. The machine basically has to decide one of these two people is going to be in the same level of crash. Which one do we pick? And again, there's like two ways you can, there's like a few ways you can take this. The first one is like, don't do anything, because if you swerve right, that's like, that's the car intentionally killing someone. Like, it's okay to kill someone if you're just doing it because it's already happening. It's not okay to like change who's going to die. Again, that's a weird way to take it, but you can. Then there's the aspect of like, oh yeah, you should hit the guy with a helmet because he's more likely to survive because, he's got a helmet on. And then there's the aspect of you should hit the guy without a helmet because otherwise, you're punished. If you hit the guy with a helmet, you're kind of punishing helmet usage, and you're making people not want to wear that. So always hit the person without a helmet, make people realize they should. Again, that's a really creepy way to take it, but there's so many ways to like take ethics that it's like fascinating to me how trying to like program it into any computer is going to come into issues. And I think it's kind of cool that like we think they're this intrinsic set of values. Like, oh yeah, we all know that we think that killing, whatever I said earlier, like raising kids, I think, have kids raised by dogs in the woods, just, for fun. I'd love to see what happens if dogs raised a kid. Would they turn into dog people? How much like a dog would they be? Would their brain work like a dog's brain? Anyway, that you can look at that and say, oh yeah, that's wrong, but I don't know why it's like that. And that's all I'm really saying here. You can't really ever say why something is wrong, and that's kind of that. But yeah, today I ran out of dirt. Unfortunately, because again, it takes a while to get the dirt I need. I'm going to dig for some more, both in the tunnel you saw me earlier, and also below this thing right here, because another thing I'm like semi-hollowing out is underneath the carrot farm. So I'm going to get a bunch of dirt from there, get a bunch of dirt from the other place, and should we continue terraforming next week? That sounds good to me. I hope you did all enjoy this week's Let's Play Update Adventures. Like the video if you did like it, because it helps out the channel a lot. Let us know you do like these sorts of videos. Share if you really liked it, and subscribe if you're new around here. Because I make videos like this one every single day on my channel, and if you subscribe, you'll see them daily on your homepage. I've been making a lot more videos recently, and it's been a lot of fun, so I'm hoping all of you do too. Because, yeah, I found like a really happy place for the videos, now that I've been like home for quite some time, and there's some negative side effects of that, but it's also been pretty good. So hopefully some of you have seen that, and I hope I will see you all next time. Oh, and in case you want to see the wheat farm, it's here. Goodbye.